Greetings. We are the DVD Geeks, and we're back for our fourth episode.
Round four.
Hard to believe, four already. And today we're going to talk about two miniseries
That's right.
that each of us have chosen that we think are choices that you would like. And then we're going to share some viewer feedback.
That's right. We had a wonderful, wonderful response to our previous episode in regard to the top five favorite movies, and we wanted to share a couple of our favorites.
That's right. Bring the fans into this. Bring the fans into
That's
this.
what we're about.
We also want to just remind everybody that all the DVDs that we talk about can be reserved here at the library, and we can make sure that you get those and have a chance to view those.
Yeah.
So, I get to start the day.
Kick us off, man.
Okay, kick us off. I will do that. Okay. I chose for this week War and Peace. Now,
okay.
War and Peace, this was just done in January this year, 2016, so it's very current. It's a British-American historical period drama, and it was broadcast, of course, on BBC. There's something about BBC. I think yours is BBC too, isn't
BBC
it?
too.
So there's something about the quality that BBC, just
Definitely.
the good stuff.
And the period stuff too.
The period stuff, they do it right.
Mm-hmm.
It is an 8-part adaptation of Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace. He was a Russian author, and we just happened to grab a copy of the book so you can see. It's a tome. He can do your exercises with this book. The novel itself charts the history of the French invasion of Russia and how that invasion and Napoleon affected these 5 very aristocratic families in Russia at that time. The novel itself was written back in 1869, so there's some age on this thing. The interesting thing about the book is it's considered one of the central works of literature in the world, and it always seems to appear like in the top 10 list of greatest works ever. This book shows up. So for the miniseries itself, again, it was an 8-part adaptation. And I kind of got to thinking, why should I tell someone to watch this?
Right.
What captivated me into watching this? The first thing was the cast. Most of the people in the cast of this are not well known. There wouldn't be people that, necessarily. There are a few, but their performances are stellar. I mean, they do such a great, and especially the 3 people who are in the lead. We have a guy by the name of Paul Dano, who plays Pierre Bezukov. You have to help me with my Russian here. Then there's Lily James. She plays Natasha Rostova. Lily James was in the recent Cinderella.
That rings a bell. I like Lily James.
Cinderella. She was in that. And then James Norton, who for me probably steals the show. He plays Andrei Bolkonsky.
Okay.
So those are kind of the 3 leads in the entire thing. Gillian Anderson, X-Files.
She was in this.
She plays a part in this, and Brian Cox. That you might not recognize him in here, but he's had kind of an American TV career in the past. It's like with anything, the cast makes it or breaks it.
Definitely.
And they do such a great job with this one. And there's a big cast.
Yeah.
Another thing was the whole making of the period piece. I'm really into period pieces.
Sure.
This is kind of my thing. I really enjoy this. I thought it would be interesting to see what the press said about it. That kind of interests me. The press revered this as the greatest costume drama of the decade, which is pretty high because there's a lot of period things floating around right now. The London Telegraph, basically one word said breathtaking. And I think I probably would agree with that. Scenery, costumes, the battles, the environments, all of these things were spot on. Now, I didn't live in 1860s Russia, but it's how I would imagine it to be. And so you really kind of get lost in all of that. It's just really beautiful. And then there's one thing that you and I, we touched on it last week, the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Soundtrack is very, key. To me, the soundtrack to this was perfect. It wasn't overbearing, but it just really added to it. It was done by a guy by the name of Martin Phipps, and he did the music. He decided he wasn't going to read the book.
Oh, really?
He wanted to compose the music before he ever, read the book or anything of that nature. Um, they interviewed him in Billboard magazine, and he said he wanted to do this very Russian choral sound, and it's kind of
That's cute.
funny. He said a mix of Rachmaninoff meets Vangelis. Remember Vangelis from
Sure.
Chariots of Fire,
Yeah.
and see if he could mix those elements together. It's very symphonic, but he didn't use a symphony. It was all electronic
That is
instruments.
curious.
Very, very interesting, and it just really, really just builds the drama.
Yeah.
One other thing I'll say about it too, and that's a note for guys. This is a romance. It is a romance type series, and has the drama, uh, kind of in the. Not, I don't want to say Downton Abbey, but you know what I mean by that.
Oh, yeah. I
And
understand.
I looked at that and I said, okay, was that aspect of it a buzzkill for me? Did that? Okay, so it was a romance and a drama. Did it really, really turn me off? And it didn't, because the scope of the entire thing is so epic. I mean,
Right.
this is an epic book, and to put it in 8 hours is pretty amazing. But it was epic, and so I think men could really, really enjoy this. Let's face it, we got a soft side.
got a soft
We all
side.
have a soft side. So what I've decided is this beauty right here is my summer reading project.
Oh, is it really?
I now I think I told you this earlier. With the help of a girlfriend and Cliff Notes, I made my way through it in college, but I don't remember anything other than it was a book. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to conquer it this summer. No pun intended. So I'm going with War and Peace, and we have that comes out May 10th.
May 10th.
That'll be next Tuesday,
Yeah.
and we'll have that here at the library. So that was my choice. Harrison,
Onward.
your turn.
And kind of switching gears, time frame wise,
Mm-hmm.
but still BBC. I picked an interesting period mystery, three-part. Very
Three-part.
small, 3 episodes. Episodes were long, though, it's in an hour and a half range. And it's called And Then There Were None.
Okay.
And this might ring a bell because it's based on the 1939 Agatha Christie mystery, which, I'm a big Agatha Christie fan. Love Agatha Christie. Wonderful author.
We have a lot of Agatha Christie fans here at the library. We really
We do indeed. And Matthew, I think one of the things which was really, really attracted me to this, I'm a big fan of Shakespeare, as you know.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Shakespeare's kind of, created a lot of the plot devices and archetypes that we see in literature and in film.
Right.
And one of my favorites is the this idea of the mysterious island.
Oh yeah.
I love the mysterious island. You think about films like Shutter Island. You think
Mm-hmm.
about this idea of being isolated in the most literal sense from, the outside world.
And then the mystery occurs.
And then the mystery occurs
Mystery
there.
occurs.
Just a wonderful.
That's-
I
that-
love that. I love that concept. And
Yeah.
this mini series takes full advantage of this. So to kind of give you a brief overview. 10 strangers.
Okay.
This is very much a period film.
Yeah.
This is late 1930s. Thank you.
1930s. Okay.
They're all invited to an island on behalf of their host, Mr. and Mrs. U.N. Owen, which is an interesting kind of play on unknown, perhaps.
Unknown, yes, maybe.
And they arrive there, and their guests, their host rather, are not anywhere to be found. Instead, there's a gramophone record player, and they turn it on, and it accuses one of them of being a murderer. And I don't want to get. This is just wonderfully paced.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I read a review on this film because I had a difficult time trying to articulate what about this film makes it outstanding, because it's based on an old, like yours is based on an old
older
story.
book.
Yeah. How is this fresh and how is this new? And there was a review which they described it as being fashionably gloomy, and it's just a distinct gloomy atmosphere that really only the British seem to be able to kind of portray.
They're
Just
good at
the
that.
filming and the fog and the very barren soundscape of waves crashing on the rocks. And then there's another descriptive phrase a reviewer used. He said, "This film, this miniseries, just has you're in a continual state of oppressive psychological tension."
Ooh.
Is the phrase
Wow.
he was, It's a very tense,
Sounds like it.
very tense film, and I would definitely recommend. I wanted to mention there's three. You said yours had some unknown actors, which were wonderful.
Yeah.
This is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. There was three big, which I immediately picked up on and loved.
Oh, okay.
As you know, we're both big Game of Thrones fans.
I know where you're going.
One of the most brilliant characters who plays a very important role in this is Charles Dance. Plays Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones. He just has a he's just a beautiful character.
He is. He has a distinctive air to him.
He does.
Very much.
Very appropriate for this kind of
definitely.
oppressive psychological
tension. Yeah.
Also, Sam Neill, which was threw me for a curveball. Yeah, last thing I remember.
That one in a while.
I know. Maybe not since the first Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I think I've heard. I just did a phenomenal job. And also, more recently, a wonderful actor Miranda Richardson from Harry Potter as Rita Skeeter.
Yeah.
And she was brilliant. It was just a wonderful story. I think that if I were to recommend this, I would say go ahead and read a little poem called 10 Little Soldier Boys.
10 Little Soldier Boys.
And if you've read the Agatha Christie novel, you'll kind of know where I'm going with this. It's wonderfully foreshadowed. Foreshadowing is beautiful. This is almost a watch it twice kind of miniseries.
Wow.
Yeah. Really would highly recommend.
So you're highly recommended. And this one is already out.
This is already out.
Already out. So we can get it for you and put it on hold. Both of these, actually, we can. I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back with some shout outs.
Yep.
Welcome back. For our second part here today, we are going to do some shout outs.
Shout out time.
To some of the folks who have commented on our videos. And I just want to say real quickly, the number of views that we're getting are
it's phenomenal.
mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I never dreamed, that many people would watch our videos. And we're trying to keep our heads and our egos in check.
Hasn't been easy.
Hasn't been easy, but we'll do it. Doug Hanselman, Doug's a friend of mine. Doug commented when we were talking about our top 10, you had Robin Williams.
That's right.
And it was the Dead Poets Society. Mm-hmm. And I had mentioned Jacob the Liar, another movie, and he said he hadn't seen that one, but he had mentioned as part of his favorites, some of the ones that he enjoyed were Robin Williams films, The Final Cut. I'm not familiar with.
I'm not familiar.
I'm not familiar with that one. I have an idea, but I'm not sure. And The World's Greatest Dad. I have seen that one.
Okay, yeah.
And that was a very funny movie.
Yeah.
Who you have?
Well, I have my dear friend Nancy Bentley, the previous owner of Kincaid Ridge Winery, who I worked with for many wonderful summers. And she shot me an email after episode 3 with her some of her top 5, and she just cracks me. It's all over the place. That's what I love about Nancy.
Oh,
it's just the first one she mentioned, Braveheart, which was on my list too.
Yeah, it was on my list too.
Classic action film, classic.
Classic.
Man, not very under the you think it's historically rooted, kind of not.
It's not real accurate, but still.
Great film, Mel Gibson, and she also mentioned Pulp Fiction, which I'm a big Tarantino fan as well, and I think that Pulp Fiction is kind of, as far as Tarantino's films go, that's definitely one of his most well respected.
Yeah, it's very popular.
Definitely. West Side Story, Natalie Wood, and directed by Robert Wise. That was one of her top 5.
Kind of a musical.
Kind of a musical thing going on.
Yeah.
You got Pulp Fiction, West Side Story.
It's all right there. Yeah.
Good is good, people.
I can't wait to hear what the next one is.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Harrison Ford.
Which
is I haven't seen Blade Runner in a long time, but I'm a big Harrison Ford fan, and
now that was more of a sci-fi.
Yeah,
that was sci-fi. I thought so.
It's sci-fi, not in the Star Wars.
Not in the Star Wars sense. No.
Darker twist on.
Darker. Definitely.
And then lastly, Nancy has Blue Jasmine with Kate Blanchett, one of my favorite actors of all time, and also with Woody Allen.
Woody Allen, good old Woody. Yep. We'll stop with that.
So Nancy, thank you for sharing.
Yes, Nancy, those are great. Kevin Redden, who's also a friend of mine, his top 5 were interesting. His 5, 4, and 3 were all by the same director.
Oh,
So, Kevin, I don't know if you've kind of zeroed in on something, but number 5 was Blazing Saddles, which is a
Yeah.
great
Love
movie.
Blazing Saddles.
Young Frankenstein,
Young
which
Frankenstein.
we do have on the shelf here. I just saw it.
Yes.
Silent Movie. Those were all 3 directed by Mel Brooks,
Yeah.
and all very comedic in the Mel Brooks vein.
Right.
The Great Race with Tony Curtis, and I'm going to have to admit I have not seen that one. I don't believe I've ever seen that one. And then his number 1 was my number 1, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So
Wow.
I guess that's why Kevin and I are friends. Definitely so.
Oh, and then another shout out to Sarah Wiesner. Thanks so much for responding and supporting the little podcast we've got going here. Sarah's top 5, number 5 being Fiddler on the Roof.
That's a classic.
It's a classic.
Uh-huh.
And from Fiddler on the Roof, a classic, to a more modern day classic. One of the directors was really resonates. Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
And the Jarling.
The Jarling Limited, I believe is how it's pronounced.
Yes, with old Owen Wilson, Adrian Brody. Classic film.
Classic film. Actually, I want to go back and watch that one again.
I haven't seen that one in a long time.
I haven't seen it
either,
in a long time. So thank you, Sarah.
Aberdeen has it though.
Oh, do they?
So, yeah,
Okay, there we go.
Pirate Radio with Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yes.
Classic. Number 2, the King's Speech with Colin Firth and as King George the Sixth. Number 1, which was kind of a shock for me with Sarah. Django Unchained.
Django Unchained.
The Tarantino love is strong.
It is very
this
strong among our
community.
people, yes.
Yes.
We're going to have Tarantino Day in Ripley, I
We
think.
need to have
just-
Tarantino Day.
What if we could get him to come by? Stop by, Quentin. We're here for you. Gene Grant wrote in. When Gene and I actually kind of had a little conversation going about the period pieces, and she mentioned Home Fires, which is a World War II series, period drama. Poldark.
Phenomenal show.
Yeah, that's John Le Carré, I believe is how it's pronounced. That one has Tom Hiddleston, who played Loki in the Avengers and Thor, and Hugh Laurie, who we know as House.
Yep.
And that's kind of a spy intrigue kind of based type
Wonderful show.
wonderful
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
Did you have any others? Was that it on your list?
No, but I know. Did we hear from Mick? Mick got in touch
Oh yeah,
with us
Mick.
too, didn't
Yeah,
he?
that Mick. Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. That was the night manager. So we thank Mick for that. I want to make a special shout out, and we're going to put it right above us here, to Morgan Borders. Morgan's a faithful patron here at the library, and she wrote us all. It'll be right above us here. I'll let you read it for yourself. A wonderful comment. We appreciate her taking the time to watch our videos and to comment on those as well. I think that does it for us.
That does it.
That's number 4 in the books. We are rolling. Definitely. DVD Geeks.
Signing out.
Signing out.